What have been the worst AFL trades of all time? Well, let's start with Fremantle in 1994. In the first ever trade period, they had an absolute stinker. Now, Andrew McLeod was set to join the Dockers in 1995. We all know how Andrew McLeod did in his career, one of the greatest Indigenous players, one of the greatest players of all time. But the Fremantle coach at the time, Gerard Neesham, thought that McLeod had an attitude problem. And thus, a deal with Adelaide was done, and McLeod ended up going to Adelaide. Now, the player Fremantle got instead was a player called Chris Groom, who played 5 games for Fremantle and was delisted. What's even worse for Fremantle fans is in 1994, they thought they got the best deal of their lives when they pulled out Tony Delaney and Todd Ridley out west. The Dockers gave up a pick 4 and a compensation pick, which resulted in Essendon getting Matthew Lloyd and Scott Lucas. I think combined is around 1,400 goals, which is just one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. In addition, everything seems to be Fremantle here. In 2001, Fremantle exchanged pick 1 for Luke McFarlane and Trent Crode, who were good players at Fremantle. But that pick 1 ended up being Luke Hodge, arguably the greatest defender, or one of the best defenders of all time. Another terrible trade. How about the Josh Kennedy trade, father-son to Hawthorn, and in 2009 he moves to Sydney. They traded him for pick 39, which Hawthorn ended up using on a guy called Sam Grimley, who played only 3 games. And Josh Kennedy, we all know what he did at the Sydney Football Club, ended up being one of the greatest midfielders in their time, one of the best inside, and one of the start of a new type of midfielder who his contested possession abilities were out of this world. My club, Richmond, has had some absolute terrible trades. I mean, not even trades. If you look about the draft, they took Richard Tambling instead of Buddy fucking Franklin. But anyway, let's talk about trades only. In 2004, one of the sort of promising rucks of that time, Brad Ottens, Richmond decided to ship him off to Geelong in exchange for 2 first-round draft picks. Now, it sounds like a good deal, but the 2 first-round picks Richmond chose were Danny Meyer and Adam Patterson. Now, Meyer only played 16 games. Patterson played 61, which is pretty good. But Ottens played over 100 games with Geelong, won them 3 flags as well, playing some of the best games in that time period.